All right.
Alan, hey,
Cool.
how's it going? Yeah, we're
Yeah, great.
gonna we're gonna talk to you a little bit about your personality and your history in typology. So
Sure.
you're awake enough? You got your coffee in you?
Yeah, I do. Thank you.
What time is it there? Like 5 a.m.?
Yeah, 5:30.
Oh
Yeah.
well. Well, thank you very much for coming out. I appreciate it.
No, thank you
So
for having me. Appreciate.
yeah, so I actually know a little bit about your type. I try not to know too much, but you're double masculine, right?
Yes.
Your TE is your main function.
Yep.
SE is your main auxiliary function, like your second savior.
Yeah. Yeah.
SE, yeah. So your
Yep.
TESE, and then you start. That means you start off in play, and
Yes.
right, and then you have blast last. So you're a glass lizard sort of thing. So it's like
Yep.
the same type as Shen and Renee, almost.
Very similar. Yeah, I think her modalities are slightly different.
Right. Yeah, yeah. She's FM, I think, and you're
Yeah.
MM. Okay, cool, nice. So, so tell me, like, how you got into this. Like, where did it all start?
So if with typology, probably started good 12 years ago or so. I did a random test at uni in one of my lectures, and there was about 400 people or so, and the guy got everyone to do a quick self-test, and then got everyone to stand up for the different 16 MBTI results. And at the time, that was my first exposure, so I didn't know what any of it meant. I returned ENTJ and probably
Oh,
didn't touch
wow.
it again. Yeah, and so from there, I mean, me and my friends all had a laugh about it because when he announced it, it was like CEO or whatever. And my other good friend got ENTP visionary, so we were all having a good chuckle, but meant nothing to us. And so then I got my first job, and that was in a equivalent to like a Forbes 500 type company. And part of their requirements was that you do psychometric testing, all that type of stuff. And they use a different system. I can't remember what it was called, but essentially I returned the same as or equivalent to an ENTJ. And then every other company I've worked at since has also required psychometric testing. And so, over the past 10 years, I've probably done 3 or 4 formal tests. All of them have returned equivalent of ENTJ, like disc profiles as well, being similar characteristics. And it wasn't until about maybe a year and a half ago that I started taking it quite seriously. And that's because, so even though the past 8 years or whatever, I'd had this understanding that I was some sort of type that meant nothing to me. It wasn't until about a year and a half ago that I had a professional work experience that was, for me, very bittersweet, and kept on reflecting how could I approach this differently in the future. Um, what could I do differently? Where did things not necessarily go wrong, but essentially where's there room for improvement? And so that's where I started investigating this typology stuff a lot more seriously, mainly because I noticed that there were some issues with communication. And instead of looking at me as the fault of communication, I was trying to more figure out how do other people think so that I can change my method to suit them. And so from there, um,
Wow, that's like
I,
a really feminine way to go about it. It's hard for a double masculine to do that.
yeah, okay. Well, I guess I've seen enough times throughout my life that, uh, um, the way I looked at it is what's the most efficient way of doing it. And I guess you could argue on one hand, it's easier for me to change, but I guess I didn't see myself as doing anything wrong. I saw it as other people were stuck in their way, so I needed to do adjust for them.
Really? So you
Uh,
saw other people as being masculine. That's interesting.
Um, yeah, actually, that's interesting. Yeah, now that I've said that, uh, yeah, I guess I've felt that I've come across in the past couple of years a lot of very stubborn TI users, and
Hi.
yeah, exactly. You actually made a post recently about how to talk to someone about TI, and said you have to lead them to draw their own conclusion, and I agree with
Oh,
that.
yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that's extremely lined up with my personal experiences. And to do that day in, day out, it's very mentally draining, for me
Yeah,
at
for
least.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
And so I got to a point where I was just worn out from it, and so it was like, okay, how about I change the way I communicate instead of going through all this effort to do it the way I've been doing. So yeah, so going back to it. From there, started looking into the whole typology thing. A lot of just open resources on ENTJ and all this Tumblr type of stuff. Blah blah blah. Went into Socionics, BB, a lot of YouTube content, and that's where I discovered people like Host Eric and OP. And from there, I started getting into it a lot, and it got to the point where every time I caught up with friends and family, I'd start talking to them about typology, and they couldn't keep up, and they were being polite about it, but they weren't really interested.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking, okay, can I make a business out of this? And so I started talking to a friend about generating some sort of income through this, because I was spending a lot of free time on it, and then I gave up on that idea to pursue something else. And then OP started pushing through their newer content. So I had already knew about Dave's Superpowers based on their stuff from like 6 years ago, but discovering that 1.5 years ago. But then when his new content came out, yeah, you go.
Yeah, so we didn't mention this, but you're an electrical engineer. So you were working in electrical engineering at the time, or you were looking for another direction?
I'm still in electrical engineering.
Oh, nice.
So I'm in the project. Yeah, so I'm in the project space at the moment. Yeah, it's as a project electrical. Yeah, it's project engineer, project manager type role.
Okay, so then when you're talking about doing something with this stuff, you're saying like just for fun on the side, or like a little business?
To be honest, when I was talking about a business for topology stuff, it was more of a not for profit type thing.
Right.
What I identified is that there's a lot of good material. Typical TA, go outside, validate the external information. I found there's lots of information, but it's all spread out, diverse. It's not consolidated. And I actually spent a lot of effort consuming, finding all these different nuggets hidden everywhere.
Right.
And I was like, Dave, you know what? I'm sure someone would actually appreciate if there was somebody that actually collated this all together and made it nice and easy to find. And then there's some other things I wanted to do with it, but that was the genesis for that idea. And I was actually willing to do it, like I said, as an altruistic thing, as long as my base time was compensated. I'm not going to do things exactly. I didn't need to make money, but I needed to break even.
Right.
And I couldn't figure out a good way to incentivize it whilst keeping it to the original purpose. So I decided to let it go.
Okay. So, but did you type yourself as an ENTP when you started the typing process, or?
No,
Or ENTJ, sorry.
I've done a couple of self tests throughout the years, and it's been ENTJ until I had kids, and then and then it's interesting. Like there was this test called John's personality test, which is a free one that I always liked because it changed the questions based on what you answered. So it wasn't always the routine 50 questions,
Right.
And it returned a percentage of like 3 or 4 different types. And so on that one, I started returning ESTJ, and I was thinking, oh, that's interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is interesting.
Yeah, and what I boiled it down to was my interpretation of you think of the future. And so since I've had kids, my view of the world has been much more myopic. It's in
Just
some
get through
ways
the
you're
day.
looking forward. Yeah, I mean, in some ways you're looking forward 10, 20 years at where your kid will be, but between what's happening in the next 2 to 5 years, I wouldn't have a clue because it's either extremely long or, like you said, the next day. And
Right.
so I've noticed in the past 1 to 2 years I've been a lot more short-sighted.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think that influenced the route. And also the thing is, with a kid, we've had to stick to a routine, so I've become a lot more SI focused. And I think that's flavored the test results slightly.
Right. Well, you also got TESE, which is like the jumper of the ENTJ. So So like it makes sense that you would get ESTJ and ENTJ, that like you would get both of them pretty often. That's interesting.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, depending on how you treat the sensing component. Yeah,
right. Cool.
yeah.
So lead TE, what's that like?
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's fantastic in the sense of you've got an innate understanding of how the world works in a practical manner that leads to observable outcomes. So you definitely through lead TI, there's an inner confidence that you can deliver what you say you will. But I think the masculine TE is where the double-edged sword comes in. It, yeah, I, I yeah, communication. Yeah, when I'm trying to drive something, I can just be extremely blunt and off-putting, and not, and I don't realize it,
Right.
and so to maintain long-standing relationships is difficult. So people have a desire to belong, and masculine TE can make that a more difficult challenge than for other people.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. Do you feel like you want tribe validation? Like, is that one of the things your TE is making you want, or not even?
Yeah, I mean, validation is a catch-all word, sure.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
guess.
yeah, I think what it comes down to me is, and I've said this for quite a while, and my mindset's starting to change, but where I was at least 1 year ago is I don't need to be liked, I just need to be respected. So respect is a form of tribe validation.
Right. Okay, I see. So it more expresses itself in a desire for respect from the tribe.
Well, it's not that. It's probably in my head. What that meant at the time was that if you respect me, then at least the ideas that I've got to progress the tribe is easy to get stakeholder buy-in. So
I see, like
to
agreement.
yeah, exactly, because it's gonna be too hard for me to play the FE game and maintain those political relationships.
Right.
So, and that's why I've chosen not like, because that's running away from the FE.
So like you mean like you want people to be invested in the project or in whatever.
What, yeah, well, if I push something forward, if I blast something forward, being blast last, so if I make a decision to push it out, of course I want it to get traction.
Right.
So, uh, and because I'm lead TE and I'm seeking efficiency, I don't want to campaign for things or lobby it. I just want it to go through. So you need to maintain relationships for that. Everything we do is not by ourselves. Even at home with family, you
Yeah.
still need buy-in. You know, if I take it back to an example most people can relate to, um, you know, if somebody is innately against you, it's going to be a lot harder to push your agenda.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Do
am
you?
I speaking too vague?
No. That's perfect. I'm getting you completely. It's all good,
Okay.
man. ST
Yep.
clarity. um. So okay. So your TE. Do you see it as Do you, because you're masculine T? I'm just looking at the patterns over a bunch of people here. I'm just trying to get some data. So
Okay.
do you see it more as what works or more as you want agreement?
Definitely what works. So, but what works then needs to have agreement.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting
So
that consistently. That's good. That's good.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I did watch the Gene interview yesterday, and what he said, I thought was pretty accurate about TA in that regard.
Right. Yeah, you guys are similar type for sure. Yeah.
Mm,
He's way more blasty than you though.
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, so what about your SE? How do you see that?
Yeah, well, uh, was interesting. Like I what I noticed in my life is that I am very observant to the external environment, but only for things that I'm focused on. So it's not like I'm constantly soaking in what's
Mm.
happening. I can be extremely oblivious to what's going on, but anything that I'm focused on, paying attention to, I've got a very acute awareness of what's going on. Uh, uh, as I mean, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, if you go off the stereotypes for SE, I was never a sporty kid or anything like that. Uh,
I hadn't heard that
so
stereotype.
really,
Yeah.
okay, okay. Well, maybe I'm mistaken then.
No, you might be
Uh,
right. I just don't hear everything. So,
yeah, I will say though, from being like a hybrid between EJ and EP, I can definitely relate to the EP side of things of always wanting new experiences and
right.
whatnot. I don't have any consistent hobbies. I'm always jumping from something to something. I rarely, well, if ever, master anything. I kind of get to a point of limiting returns very quickly, and
Right. Yeah, I
then
get that.
I just move on.
You want that
And so
maximum growth, and then once it starts curving off, you're like, okay, I got to go. Yeah, I got you.
yeah, exactly. But I think it comes down to is I think it's actually more related to FI, to be honest. Like
Okay.
in the sense of I can see what the next level is, and I'd get disappointed with myself that I'm not doing those things. So if I take something like pool, for example, or snooker, billiards, uh, I know in my head the steps that need to be done in order to max out, finish the rack. But then
Right.
the technical skill's not there, and I'm not willing to invest the time to get the technical skill to match out the vision.
Right.
And so it just frustrates me. I say, fuck, what's my language? I say, I'll leave it alone.
Your kids aren't
And
here. We're good.
okay, yeah, I was more thinking for YouTube in public.
Right. Right.
Uh, yeah, but essentially, I say, okay, I'll move on. And so, I get to everything, most things I touch, I become above average very quickly, and then I
Right.
taper off and move on to something else. And so, I think that may be in line with some sort of SE stereotype, as in constantly seeking new experiences. But I think my motivation might be slightly different.
Right. Okay, so I know this is kind of like a relativistic question because you don't know what it's like to be someone else, but do you feel like maybe you're more in the moment than most people? Like you're more present? Do you see more people like sort of fading away and not seeing what the moment is?
Thank you for asking that. I really appreciate it because I was actually thinking yesterday about essay, and I completely forgot what I was thinking about. And so when you said in the moment, it triggered it for me.
Oh, okay.
That's exactly how I saw it and why I was comfortable with the TESE jumper classification. Because yeah, I'm very comfortable in the moment. Actually, in many ways, that's when I feel most alive, being thrown into chaos.
Right.
Definitely professionally, that's where I've had the moments I relish the most. Uh,
Where you shine basically.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So that's completely valid, and that's why I agreed with the SC typing.
All right, nice. And your NI, do you see it at all?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about the NI recently because when I self-type myself, I put myself as the NI variant,
Right.
uh, and I think that's influenced by two things, or two and a half things. One is that one is that I've been in my profession for 10 years, and I haven't seen everything, but I've seen a lot. Um, in that 10 years, it's rolled through the entire life cycle of work within an engineer's duties. So unlike a lot of people that have stayed in one thing, I've actually have moved throughout. And so with those accumulated experiences, it's a combination of, it's not SI in the sense of I'm copying the past, but I've seen enough to understand concepts across the realm. And
Right.
so from there, I can make more educated, risk-based decisions, which was for me simulating, I suppose, a higher degree of NI
Right.
through being, yeah. The second part is at home. I live with a lead SI, and so home life is organised and whatnot, which I suppose gave me a feeling of home, of 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 having some sort of order, control. So once again, because SI and NI do have some similarities in the sense of the controlling aspect. So I've got
Right.
that at home, which so made me feel again like I've got NI in my life. And the half point is I rarely do anything without predicting what their outcome is. And I think that's why I actually enjoy being thrown into the chaos so much, because when I'm in the chaos, I stop predicting. I just in the moment doing.
Right.
But so yeah, if I'm not in the chaos, then everything I do is premeditated.
Premeditated.
So
Okay.
yeah, exactly. And so and so because of that, I thought, okay, well, I'm using NI to serve TA.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was talking to Otim, the amazing Manny. We were talking
Yes.
about trying to figure out what NI is for us because, like, for we noticed that for TEs, people with TE, NI is really thinking about the future. But for us, we're talking about it, and it's more like eternity for us. Like what, like
Ah,
it's a completely different use of NI for us. So it's really interesting. So do you see it that it is really predicting the future and helping you project, like envision how something will play out?
I think what I would like to do is have some conversations with some lead NIs, because I think the key difference is NI serving TA instead of TE serving NI.
Right,
And
right.
where I'm going with that is, it's not that, even in my typing video, when they're asking like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I don't see myself I'm not even looking that far ahead
Yeah,
anymore. I
because you
used
got
to.
kids now.
Yeah, exactly. So like,
You
like
don't have time to
10,
think.
yeah. So 5, 10, exactly. So 5, 10 years ago, yeah, I was figuring out where's my career going to go, all these other type of things. Now it's one day at a time. But what I wanted to say is that uh, I've lost my train of thought. As for your question, okay, so vision. Um, one thing that I've known about myself for a very long time is that I find it extremely difficult just to sit down and picture the vision of where I want life to be. So I suppose leading with NI and then using TE to figure out how to get there. Instead, it's
Right.
always been, instead for me, it's been literally, what do I want to achieve? And then I'll use my NI to figure out a path there.
Oh,
And yeah, and so
so
uh,
that's your FI. What do you want? What you want to achieve is like more your FI, and then you'll do the NITE to
yeah,
figure out.
actually, you're
Yeah,
right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. That's why they said sleep was a hobby.
yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, so that's how it's always been for me. I mean, even when I was 10 years old, um, and my dad was trying to push me figure out what you want to do, etc.
Right.
Um, even back then,
It's
I
hard.
used to think of. Well, no. I was going to say I never thought of myself as a strategist. I always thought of myself as a tactician. And what I meant by that, but like this has gone back like almost 15 years ago. But what I meant by that is I don't have this long term view of trying to uh, uh, this long term chess game of trying to drive an outcome towards something. It's more where am I in the moment, and then I'll have a lot of depth in the moment to navigate through that. And so once again, it's leading to the demon NI, and so I can see that and agree with it. So even though I think I use it,
No,
I think it's
you
because
use you're a double observer, so you have to use it like to a huge extent.
yeah, but yeah, I can see that I don't. I can see. Well, see, the thing is, right, because of the typing that I've got, my FI is double activated, so the
Right.
NI will be the one I struggle with the most, and that was what I was struggling to come to terms with because I felt like I was using NI a lot. But I think it's all about you might feel you are, but it's all about comparison. So other people probably think they use TE, but compared to me, they don't. And so I just need to meet more NI people, and then the difference become quite clear.
Right.
And the funniest thing is, I have met NI people, and I've probably brushed it off. I've gone, you numpty, you're looking, you're 10, 20 years ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
I've just written it off. So it probably confirms that my NI is demon.
Well, to
Uh,
help you with that, do you have trouble committing? Do you see some kind of problem with being controlled, things like this?
do I have problems being controlled?
Like with the control
Uh,
aspect?
yeah, I don't have a problem being controlled if I share the same outcome, the same direction.
Right. So then it doesn't really matter.
Then
You're not being controlled.
you can look at it that way.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't. I don't look at it that way because in the end, I still report to someone.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So, uh, but yeah, I understand your point.
Yeah. So does it make more sense that in that way you're more chaos over control?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
I can implement structure and control, but I find it very hard to maintain.
I
So
see.
I can come in, roll out a system,
Right.
get things in order, but I need someone to take it over and run it,
Oh,
maintain it.
I got you. I got you.
Because I get bored,
Right. Right.
and once I get bored, I stop caring.
I see. So
Yeah.
you're married now too. So with a SI dom, so that's controlling too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It can be.
Yeah.
Look, everything's pros and cons.
Yeah. Yeah. Enough said. So okay. So that FI identity, it is double activated. So are you in touch with what you want, what you like?
Uh, 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 I'm not in. I would have thought no.
Right.
It, like I'm not in touch with in the sense of that I can clearly express it or define it. But when it comes to drawing a line in the sand, it's very black and white for me. So I suppose in that aspect you can say I am in touch with my FI to be able
Right.
to know I won't cross that line.
Right.
But I'm just not in a position where I know how to communicate it.
Does your
Uh,
TE feel like a protector for your identity? Does it feel like you're protecting your identity with your TE?
yeah, unfortunately, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think there's a lot of decisions I make in the moment, or snap decisions that I regret. I think that comes back down to what I was alluding to at the start of the video about bittersweet work experiences, ways I could have done it differently or better.
Yeah. Well, it happens to all of us, man. It's all good.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so okay, so then your sleep well consume we touched on it a little bit. Do you notice what you enjoy to like what you consume more, what you're more interested in consuming, and how you filter it, like what you don't want to consume?
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. So my consume is SF,
Right.
and double activated. And so I once again, when I self-typed, I actually put myself as demon consume. And the reason I put it as that is because uh,
Well, you had to
I
start
actually
somewhere,
have,
yeah.
uh, well, yeah, but
Yeah.
also I do have, I've got respect for my ability to consume. I know that I can find information for what I want quite easily, but I don't enjoy doing it. Um,
You feel responsible for it
yeah,
though.
yeah, and that's where I had the misunderstanding.
Right.
That's where, yeah. And so once again, I can see the savior consume. Uh, so going back to the SF type, my consume is in essentially driven by two things. Uh, if I need to drive a TE goal, then my FI supports that, and then my consume will be extremely focused on obtaining as much information as possible for that item. So typology, for example,
Right.
yeah, the amount of resources I've gone through is ridiculous in the span that I have. But in general, if I wasn't into typology, if that came up on my YouTube feed, I just would have thrown it away straight away and moved on. So,
Right.
like, what do I watch on YouTube at the moment? I guess because my time, I've got such short time blocks, kids and all. I guess I watch stuff that's like highlightsable. So now I watch a lot of sports, whereas before I never used to.
Really?
Yeah. So I watch NBA a lot now because there's a lot of variety every night. There's games most nights. You get highlights in like 2 minutes, 2 to 10 minutes. So it's just something that I've discovered that's easy to fit in the day
Right.
wherever.
That's pretty SF too, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, exactly. So once again, when I use the type and I've thought back on some experiences, I go, yeah, okay, I can actually see that I've created that as well.
Right. And so you have that NF sleep that's your hobby. So do you take the time
Apparently,
sometimes? Yeah, you take the time sometimes to sit and reflect and go into your ideals and your greater life goals. I don't know.
well, honestly, I don't think so, which is why I put myself asleep last.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
I, yeah, but I, I've come to accept my typing through that I needed the player sleep coins to be in the top three,
Right.
because it meant that you're an energy focused person, and I've treated energy focus as me being extremely about efficiency. But when it comes to sleep, it's not something I've ever respected throughout my life. In fact, I've hated it. If I'm interpreting sleep correctly, that is.
Right.
And
Well,
so,
it was a demon, I guess, for most of your life until it becomes a hobby.
well, yeah, but but honestly, it's only become a hobby in the past 6 months. So, like 6 months ago, because I really wanted to start taking this business endeavor I was working on seriously, I knew it's funny, like even though I thought I had an I knew that because I couldn't engage my NI unless I had the goal to strive towards, I wanted a way to be able to have the self discipline to force NI to come out. And so I started doing things like going to flotation tanks where you block out all your external stimuli because I thought, okay, they'll give me a better chance to engage my internal
Right.
space. This is way before I got into OP and before I
Yeah.
paid membership for OP. So it's actually funny, like all these things I had knew I wanted to do actually line up with my type.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and so, but what I found is I couldn't shut off. I probably didn't give it enough attempts. I only tried it like 2 or 3 times. So then I said, stuff this. The quickest way for me to engage my NI is to get a business partner, somebody that will engage me to draw it out. And so I did that. But I lost track of what our question was. Sorry, dude.
Sleep.
Yeah. Like for me, what I associate sleep with is when I can't stop thinking about something. Like tonight, um, in my head, I'm just having conversations in my head, running through permutations of how something
Will
something
play
that
out.
I'm working on. Yeah. So yeah, something happened yesterday, and the events just not the events of the past, but I'm projecting how I want it to evolve to.
Okay.
And so yeah, it's not about how I want to force it. It's about figuring out how what am I willing to do about it. And so yeah, I find it actually quite hard to express.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
perfect. That's exactly what sleep should be, especially if you have blast last. It should be hard to express. Yeah. And also it's very
yeah,
conceptual. It's very NI sleep. So it's always hard to
yeah,
put N into words.
yeah. So I guess in my head last night I was having conversations about how do I want to respond to this situation,
Right.
and I was going through a couple of different simulations and going, this is the line I'm willing to draw. Or I'm not willing to push that line, then I made a decision of what
That's
I'm going
very
to do
good.
today
Yeah,
about
that's very good. That's very good example of sleep. Yeah. Cool, man.
it. Yeah.
Um, so okay, so then your blast last, you don't seem to be having much trouble with blast. Oh, before we do that, I just wanted to say another additional example of why that type might be accurate is because you don't seem to have like very extroverted energy. You seem to have that introverted energy.
Oh,
Like,
okay, sure.
yeah. So like that consume sleep is supposed to be very like low energy, like so it seems to match a little bit. So there's that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so your blast last, like it doesn't seem like you have trouble blasting at all, but I don't know. It's from outside. I don't know what it's like from you for you.
I think I've never felt I've had trouble blasting, but I think it's driven by play. So play is telling me that I want to be out here stimulated, and also I'm comfortable with what you're doing. I'm comfortable with my knowledge on typology. I've made a commitment. I've made a decision to engage in this interview before it started. So I think when you add up all those bits and pieces, there's no reason for me not to blast.
Right.
It's not like I've been. Having said that, well, once again, if I'm put on the spot, I've never had a problem blasting either. So I don't know, that was a little bit confusing for me. The people that know me superficially, as in through social gatherings only, I think they'd be surprised to hear that I'm low energy. I've never been an energizer bunny, but
Right.
and I wouldn't call myself the life of the party, but certainly I have a presence.
Right. Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
even somebody that I know through superficially through social gatherings only that I sent my typing videos to, he's like, "That's not you at all." And to me, it was like, "No, you only know me through that mask I wear." Uh,
Right.
yeah,
Interesting. Okay,
yeah,
and well, the other thing is blast shouldn't be too difficult for you anyways because you are right next to it, like you're the glass lizard sort of thing. So, like, I mean, I guess Shannon Renee also she's supposed to have blast last, but her blast is pretty amazing. So maybe it's because she's practicing it all day. But yeah, you're really close to it, so maybe that's another thing. Like, it's hard to notice that it's low. I don't know. Do you think so?
Uh, well, it was one of the things I was having trouble reconciling with because when I self-typed, I put myself as blast first,
Yeah.
and so when I listened to when I listened to the audio and they were talking about, well, do you have an innate desire to control people, organize your environment? For me, it's no. So
Mm,
from the definition of what they categorize blast as, yeah, I can
right.
accept that I'm blast last.
I see.
Uh, yeah, and then if you treat the coins as consumers about wanting to take in info first, blasters about wanting to give out info. For
Right.
for for me, I break it down into two categories. Category one is what would I do if my life depended on it? Okay, and that's where I accepted consume first because if my life depends on it, I'm always going to rely on myself, not others. Right? And I think that's from the inner confidence of TE. So I trust myself to make the right decision, trust myself to do whatever it takes. And I think by default, that makes you the TE jumper
Yeah.
um, in that world. So I could accept being blast last, whereas I think the blast first person would be more intrinsically motivated to work with other people to save their life.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, I guess TE should also want to do that work with other people, but I don't know.
yeah, I'd see that's the thing, right? Let's see if the word choice I used, right? I said
Yeah, yeah,
trust
yeah.
myself to make the decision,
Right.
right? The
You're
implication
talking.
is it's still with people.
Right. Okay. I get you. I get you. But like, would you talk about a subject that you knew nothing about, or would you feel
Absolutely.
uncomfortable? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Like even at my social gathering, I remember once I got impromptu asked to go up in front of like 40 people and just talk for 40 minutes because something happened to the host. And it's fine. I didn't have a problem with it.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So, but see, the difference is, right. Even though I don't have a problem doing it, it's not something like am actively seeking to do.
Right. But
And
would you feel responsible to do it? Like, do you feel I don't know. Whatever.
no, no, I don't feel responsible. And I think what's drawing me out to do it is the play energy.
Right.
So the
Okay.
play energy, I think, is making me feel
Dancing,
responsible.
dancing for the tribe. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then the avenue that I choose to do that through is through blast or the medium.
Right. The medium. Yeah, yeah. Avenue medium. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understood you. Okay. So,
Yeah.
do you have anything you want to promote or any message for the tribe that you want to give out?
Look, other than I think you're doing a fantastic work with all this. I'm very appreciative of it. I know a lot of other people are, so I
Yeah.
think it's great.
Thanks. Yeah.
Myself, no, I don't have anything.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it was amazing to meet you, Alan. Like, and yeah, thank you so much for coming out. I know it's early and yeah, we learned a lot.
No worries.
You're the first, TESE, I think that I've interviewed. So awesome.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. Like, I've interacted with you, I think more than almost anyone else in the group. So it's really
Oh
good to
wow.
finally meet you. Yeah.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, I enjoyed it. So I can't wait though to see. I'm probably going to start talking to Jin because he's the guy I was talking about in the sense of I need to meet someone that's lead NI
Right.
with TA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, and that will probably maybe me and Jin need to do a joint thing with you.
Yeah. We'll talk. Yeah.
Uh,
We'll try to arrange something for sure. Yeah. Cool. Awesome,
yeah,
man. Yeah. So take it easy. Have a good one.
you too. All right.